In this video, I'm going to show you how to tool great looking feathers only using 3 tools. So to start off, let's grab our swivel knife, and I've already transferred the patterns here. This is from the feather pattern pack on the website, but these lines for the quill, that center part in the feather, I want to make sure we're nice and even, and I'm pulling from the base out to the tip because we're going to fade those lines out. You can see right here as I pull that line out towards the tip, I really fade that together as they come out there. And while I'm still turned this way, we'll catch the bottom part here, these little wisps of the feather that have fallen off backwards. Now I'm going to turn that pattern so we're pulling from the tip and from the outside towards that quill now. Now you notice all these lines are kind of pulling at an angle back down in towards that quill. Not connecting out at those points. We'll connect those when we bevel. I want to not create a point that's going to lift up. Come to the other side and get these pulled in. The nice thing about feathers is there are no two that are really the same, and they're all going to be a little unique, so there's not a one right way on doing these here. And if you have a little bit that you feel are mess ups, that's okay. That's gonna just add to the look of it a bit. So the next tool I'm going to go to after the swivel knife is my bevel. Now these are just the beginner tools that we offer in the kit. But any bevel's gonna work pretty darn well here. This is a checkered bevel that comes in the kit. I'm gonna bevel on the outside of these lines. You'll notice where these splits are in this feather here. And this particular one has quite a few splits as opposed to some of these other ones only have a couple. And treat them all the same though. I'm going around the outside of it, so I got to kind of switch directions there a little bit. Those points that we didn't actually cut together on the outside, we're bringing those together with the bevel so they have that appearance of being cut all the way together there. And as I come down in towards that feather, these lines just kind of fade together and overlap a little bit. All right, now this quill, we're gonna start down here where it's easy to tell because this is on the outside, right? So we're beveling away from the quill towards the outside, all the way up here. Now I want a nice, pretty nice crisp bevel line in here, because we're going to come back and shade in a minute. But as I get up towards the tip here, even though I'm keeping that nice crisp bevel line, you'll see that I do fade out some. All right, turn this here, and we'll bevel this other side just the same way. The next tool we're going to switch to after we got done beveling both those sides is going to be our vertical line thumbprint. Now this one is out of the beginner set. Those lines aren't super deep, but they are running vertical on that tool. So we're going to come bring this in right next to the quill, and this is where that shading is going to go out from our quill. Now, important on what angle we do that at. I don't want to just come right straight at kind of a 90 off of that. Just like these lines, we're pulling down kind of at that 45 back down towards the quill. We want our shading to go back up that quill the same way. So right here where it's broken off and folded down, I'm gonna keep my shading coming back down towards that direction. But now we're gonna tip that up and roll right along here. I'm going to start up here at the tip and kind of work my way back down. Just for me, I can see that angle better, and I don't want to get off on that angle. So I'm going to run this here. Main thing, I'm keeping right up next to that quill, but not running into it. I'm keeping this tool pretty flat too. Not flat enough that it's going to gouge out on the outside, but we do want that shading to run out that feather quite a ways. Because notice I'm just coming down here. I'm not running that tool out at all. That shading, that burnish is starting to kind of pull that direction. That darker color is helping color that up a little bit. Now we're going to come back up and do the other side of that quill as well. I'm going to set this tool aside, but it's not going far because we're actually going to go back to that here in just a minute. But told you we're going to go. We'll stick this with 3 tools, so we're going to go back to our swivel knife now where we started at. And now I'm going to start right up here at the tip, and I'm going to start pulling cuts. And these cuts, I want to be intentional with them, keeping them right next to each other. They're fading off as I pull towards that quill. And you see they kind of start to do that little bit of an S here. We're pulling kind of down, and they start fading back out just a little bit as they pull down towards that quill. I come all the way up into those parts that have split off. Those are going to help give you that shape a little bit too, or that direction that we're pulling those cuts. See how as those cuts are fading out, now it's starting to work with the shading that's coming out here and helping that blend a little bit. I can rotate this and pull these cuts for this part of that feather that's folded back around. Okay, now let's turn this around. We'll get those cuts on the other side. For me, rather than starting at the tip on this side, I'm going to start down here towards the base because I can see it a whole lot better. If you're left-handed, you might be opposite. You might be wanting to start at the tip on this side and the base on this side. But I want to be able to see where that last cut was so I can stack right next to it. If I'm coming back the other way, my last cut would be blind on the back side of that blade. So I'm looking to where the last cut was, but I'm also kind of looking ahead, making sure I'm seeing that curve, watching the shape of these pieces that are split off here. We've pulled those cuts, and we're going to jump back here to that vertical line thumbprint. But this time we're not grabbing them all. I'm just going to use this by hand here. And what I want to do, I'm going to take the narrower end. I'm just going to come from that outside here. And pull right along those cuts that we just made. This is going to start kind of bring a little bit of texture in there, blends those cuts together so they don't just look like raw cuts. Helps pull a little bit of that burnishing or that darker color out there. So you can see the difference that makes just from this side to this side. A little more blended here as far as instead of just those raw cuts out there. Still following the same line, same path they were taking. All right, now we're gonna switch it up again, go right back to that knife. And here I'm gonna come in and just start pulling a couple deeper cuts. Just start bringing that texture in there a little bit. Right at the base of where these have split off, I'm gonna come in and pull that just a little bit more with that knife so it helps kind of stand that out. But it faded off as we come to. It helps bring back a little bit of that definition. Last thing we're going to do here, I'm going to come in with that shader again. I'm going to lightly pull up right along the quill here just to help give that, again, a little bit of texture. Kind of rounds those edges some. Brings just a touch of burnishing in there, kind of help with that color. But that way it's not just a flat square piece of leather in there. we've brought, by going on those edges there, we've kind of helped round that look of that a little bit. So there you go. Good looking feathers, 3 simple tools.